Welcome everyone. We will be looking at network structures now. The idea is quite again straightforward. It's the age of e-commerce, e-retail, online businesses. So for online businesses, where most of the time you have a laptop, you have a computer, maybe two people working from two places, remote locations, maybe in two different countries, can connect and set up a completely functional holistic online retail business, and that is enabled by structures that we call network or virtual structures. So a network or virtual organization occurs when an organization outsources many of its functions to other organizations and simply exists as a network of contracts with very few, if any, functions being kept in-house. So you're basically bringing people together. You have a supplier, you have a distributor, you have a marketing agency maybe. So you hire all of them and you communicate with them. You set up coordination and you're working out of your laptop. Might somewhat a little like what I'm doing, though not in online retail. So so there are plenty of examples. Mostly any virtual business you can think of, you can consider it as running on a network or virtual structure. Generally, these organizations, they don't have physical premises, they don't hold a lot of assets. They work remotely and they're linked using IT systems, technology. And even though that is happening from the outside, it looks like this is a well-established organization, things like that. But they only have like a small office. There are many organizations like that. Information needs. So information is essentially it's the funnels that have to facilitate the entire IT system, all of that. So you will need software and you will need seamless communication, seamless networking across, because if the communications fail, let's say a customer places order but you don't really get the payment or get the receipt or order confirmation, or a customer may panic if you don't confirm the receipt, or you don't confirm that you received the payment and things like that. Of course, nowadays things have been made very easy. There are so many platforms that provide holistic services. I'm working with a platform called Square. So as I can see, like they're quite advanced, and there's so many features that makes the life of someone who wants to start a business very easy. Performance management, there's a lot of flexibility. You can bring people together without really having to physically deal with all the effort. um, you can compete online if you have a better product. Nowadays you don't have to really have major marketing. If you can sell it to a few people, get some positive reviews, you're on the go. You can lower your costs because there's very little investment required. However, it can be difficult to establish a team because you might not meet them, you know them remotely. So there are a lot of gaps in terms of knowledge that you have about your staff. There's a loss of control. So that's of course addressed by a lot of software and embedded processes and controls within the software that are being used for online retail and virtual organizations. Knowledge sharing can be a concern. There are practical issues like time zones. Like you might be in one time zone and the other person might actually, it might be morning to you, but for the other person it might be actually night. So there are things like that at all levels. So you can take a look at all of this and see what kind of challenges. The other aspect that you get to learn here is the service level agreements, because as I said, there are different elements, right? There are different people working. So if you set up a network structure with 5 people, you're the owner, then there's a marketing person, then there's a supplier, then there's a distributing agent, and there's a IT person who takes care of your website and all of that. So if that is the case, you will do is you will set up something called SLAs, service level agreements, across the 5 people. All of them will have a service level agreement with you. So what it does is that it works as a negotiated legal agreement between the core organization and its partners regarding the level of service to be provided. So it's basically a contract, an online virtual contract that outlines everything you need. You can put into place everything. Most of the time when you partner, like when I partner, I'm working with a couple of payment gateways, international, the website developer and things like that. So with everyone, when I purchase them, and I go for a particular option, like they'll have different options, and then I choose one. And I have a marketing person, I have a website and a social media manager. So with all of them, what happens is that there is an agreement online that we sign, which is called the service level agreement. So in some cases, I've actually included certain clauses with respect to the kind of limitations I will have with respect to my expectations in terms of the service, etc. So that is what a service level agreement allows to do within a network structure. So before I move on to the next segment, I just want to show you this. Even though we just learned functional, divisional, and network, nowadays, of course, it's not really applicable, because nowadays organizations have realized that what suits for them has to be built. You can start with the functional structure, you can grow it into a divisional structure, but as your organization evolves, you might have to separate, have you might have to cluster out teams, give them more independence. You might have to hire project teams who are working on research and development, etc., etc. So some organizations grow organically, some organizations grow through acquisitions. So depending on all of these things, every company has its own structure. So the complexity of organizational structures have actually grown and increased, and it also has allowed organizations to be their own, to have their own style. That's what here Amazon's acquisitions. You have Alphabet Inc., which owns Google, and essentially when you look at organizations, each organization or different organizations have their own structures. None of them are the same. You don't have to necessarily be the same. You can have flat structures, you can have hierarchical structures, all kinds of things. So just have an open mind about it. There are different organizational structures that you look at, especially in modern, more newer versions of business management texts, like what I looked at in the MBA that I did. So this is where that is from. Okay, so that marks the end of the discussion on different types of structures, the traditional ones, right? So we will be looking at the complex structures next. I'll see you soon. Thank you.